Mr. Speaker, what is happening in Nairobi, particularly the evictions, is a violation of human rights. What is happening in Nairobi in the middle of a pandemic is actually an international crime. Yeah. It's an international crime, yes, because those people are staying out in the cold. Those people are mixing with people who they don't know whether they're infected. Mr. Speaker, something is wrong with this government. God needs to find something about this government. There is something wrong about the way they treat human beings. As if this government was elected by cows and goats. Mr. Speaker, and the complaints, majority of the complaints, when I sit on this side, Mr. Speaker, I wish I was in government, because the majority of the complaints are from the side where they're in government. People seated on this side, I wonder, what are we supposed to do when the majority of the people issuing complaints are sitting on the majority side?
What is your point of order, Senator?
Mr. Speaker, apart from the point of order on relevance, because I'm talking about people who are homeless, every senator in this house, whether in the government side, in fact, there's no government side, majority or minority, are supposed to oversight government. So I don't know why the members in the minority are cheering when they see that even us, we are oversighting and nobody complains. This is not a house of complaints. It's a house of oversight. Whether you're in Jubilee or NASA, let's oversight government.
The members...
What is your point of order? But let's not lose focus of... okay.
Mr. Speaker, I have said over and over again, as the majority leader, this house is called Senate. It is not the government of President Uhuru Kenyatta, and it's not executive. Mr. Speaker, the Senate all over the world and Parliament all over the world, whether you are elected from the party that formed the executive or not, your responsibility is to oversight the executive. There might be cases where all of us, there will be no minority. In many, let me tell you, Mr. Speaker, in many counties, including mine, there is no minority side. Do you want to tell me that then there will be no oversight of the county governments in Elgeyo Marakwet County because everybody was elected in Jubilee? Please give us a break. We are Parliament. Everybody here has a responsibility to come and defend, Mr. Speaker, the rights of the people, because our responsibility is Parliament, is not executive.
Proceed, Senator Mutula.
You know, the statements I'm making are bitter, but I have to make them for them to understand that, Mr. Speaker, that there is a reason why we are a minority and there's a reason why there's majority. Mr. Speaker, that said, there's no difference between what happened in Elgeyo Marakwet, where people were abandoned after the mudslide. There's no difference about what happened in Solai when people died. There's no difference about what's happening in Nairobi. All of it is the same line. A government that does not value human beings. It doesn't give. I've provided power to them is power. Power is sweet. It's sweeter when it's concentrated. Power corrupts. Power has corrupted. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I agree with Senator Murkomen on the point that we cannot wait for a week. Children are hungry. It's possible that nobody is going to offer any of these landless people accommodation. It's sad. Why could somebody wait for another day to do this? And therefore, Mr. Speaker, the answer must come immediately. There is nothing that prevents the Senate committee from getting PPEs tomorrow, masks, and go to Kariobangi. If we are serious about these things, we must be seen where these things are happening. Let's go and find out where the people who have been evicted, together with Senator Sakaja, where did they sleep yesterday? Where are they sleeping today? Where are they getting food? Where are the children going for their most simple, basic human dignity? To the sanitation or toilet. But lastly, Mr. Speaker.
Order, Senator Ledama, relax. Yes, proceed.
Recently, I mentioned the book of Revelations, and Senator Ochilo Oyako told us about where this book was written. When finally judgment is written about this government, I'm telling you, only the book of Revelations is going to tell you there will be gnashing of teeth. There will be a bottomless pit for members of this government. Thank you.
Senator Ledama. Then
Mr. Speaker,
Senator
sir,
Bashir and Moore.
I am ashamed to be in this house during this period. We are completely failing. Human beings are being terrorized, stigmatized. Mr. Speaker, sir, even during the holy month of Ramadan, I'm not a Muslim, but I sympathize with the people who are evicted. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, this is about time that we say no to the executive. I'm completely against the militarization of this county called Nairobi. What is happening is against the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, sir, Article 187 of the Constitution is very clear. It is very clear on the issue of transfer of functions. And I'm so glad that even today we suspended the debate on Kara. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, whatever is driving this move of demolition of houses, which I can only sum as commodity interest versus community interest, must come to an end. Mr. Speaker, sir, this Senate must come out very clear and tell the executive that what you're doing is evil. It is completely unabominable. These people who live in Nairobi during this period of corona, when some of us, Mr. Speaker, sir, on a daily basis, when you look at our phones, it is empty. Because the amount of money you load and you send it to the village. What about now the people who live here? Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to request that the committee, and not only the committee, the entire Senate, and must actually come out.
Order, Senator Malala, observe the social distancing, please. Okay.
Mr. Speaker, sir, they must call this government. And whatever interest, whatever drive is moving these people to abuse the human rights of these individuals who live in this county must come to an end. Mr. Speaker, sir, what I would request each and every senator, tomorrow, let us go there, let us stand with those Kenyans. They need us now. All these commodity interests will mean nothing during this coronavirus period. Let us respect the human beings.
Senator Bashir, I'll come back. I've noted.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I don't want to belabor this, but the gross violation of rights of the people, the most vulnerable in our society at a time, cannot be gainsaid. But one of the things that I have observed is the fact that there's no consequence to violations of rights in this country. I think even if we go, we might be seen to have reacted to it, but for as long as those people go without accounting for the things they've done, the duty bearer for this is the government, the duty bearer for this is the executive, but no, be it Solai, be it other gross violations, we've not seen consequences. So how different is this going to be even if we all go there? So for me, what I think is this, Senator Sakaja, and congratulations for bringing it, we have a thematic area under social justice and human rights, even in the COVID committee. And because these people have been exposed to the COVID committee as well, perhaps we could join hands with the committee of lands, where I sit, and make sure that we bring the people to book and hold government accountable. Mr. Speaker, the issue is that there's never a consequence. When is this House going to achieve a situation where gross violations of our Constitution and the rights of our people actually get a consequence for the perpetrators of this? We're looking like we just want to go there, but let's see what action would ensure that people pay for these violations. Thank you, Mr.
Senator
Speaker.
Maura.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, since people started wearing masks, and I think they are speaking from both ends of the mouth, because some sound must come from somewhere. Because, I mean, who is speaking here, really? Who is speaking here? Because by the end of the day, we are living in very interesting times. The moment COVID came, and there is no official opposition, then you are hearing what Mao Zedong calls contradiction in the womb of the people. The people around here are the ones who are complaining. So I think we must also legislate, maybe in the future, that you should always have an official opposition, so that government must not speak, against itself. Mr. Speaker,
what's your point of order, Senator Orengo?
Mr.
Order.
On a point of order, Mr. Speaker, the senator for Senator Maura cannot get away with this. He's living in an age which is gone. The official opposition existed at the time when we had a parliamentary system. We now have a presidential system where the Senate as a chamber is a distinct organ of government. So the minority and the majority are supposed to put the government of the day in check. The executive is not in this house. So, Mr. Speaker, you know, in fact, Senator Maura used to belong, when we had a parliamentary system, used to associate with the official opposition. But when we came to the presidential system, he, for very good reasons, left the party that he used to support, and I agreed with him because there was no longer an official opposition, there was only a minority and a majority and no executive in the chamber. So is it right to say there's no official opposition when I know he has been serving that role quite well? When the issues with Kiambu came here, he took a stand. Absolutely. He took a very strong stand, and he was being cheered out in the streets there. I saw Senator Maura for the first time being carried shoulder high. I tell you. And he seemed to enjoy it. I've never seen him dance, but I saw him dance in front of Parliament. I tell you. And continue doing that because you are part of the organ for oversight and putting the executive to book.
Senator Maura, proceed.
Thank you very much. You know, my senior and elder, Senator James Orengo, who I have admired since my childhood, has actually elucidated very well the role that we are supposed to play as a parliament. But you see, if you look at Socrates, when he was criticizing, Plato, in terms of in his Republic, he talks about the rule of law that is, executed by the elite as just the justice of a band of robbers. And that is what we are seeing here in Kariobangi. Because if the rule of law requires that you should execute property and secure them and the contract, whose property is this that is being secured during a global pandemic, Mr. Speaker? Where is the security of the person that you fear not to be killed when you are walking in the streets of Nairobi? But, the other day we had Governor Sonko saying he didn't know what he signed. I think I saw Senator Sakaja there also. So I'm also surprised. In fact, Mr. Speaker, when you are directing where this statement should go, it should not go to COVID-19 because it's go back to Sakaja, Senator Sakaja. Because by the end of the day, we must also know what we are supposed to. You made your bed, sleep on it.
What's your point of order, Senator Sakaja?
Mr. Speaker, it seems as if a certain spirit, I'm not sure if it's holy, has descended upon Maura, Senator Maura. But Mr. Speaker, for the record of the House, which is this place where he says he saw me? I have not attended any signing of any transfer, unless he thinks I look like someone. But Mr. Speaker, in fact, one member currently in the House is better placed to say who was in that function. But Mr. Speaker, I was not there. My sentiments on the transfer we made in this House, and I still stand by those sentiments. But we're talking about the people of Nairobi. Mr. Speaker, may he substantiate or withdraw that allegation?
I think let us make progress. Senator Professor Ongeri.
Mr. Speaker, the reason I'm saying that is because for the record of this House, if what he's saying, which is not factually true, stays on the record, 10, 20, 30 years from now, somebody will assume that what he has said, which is manifestly wrong, is actually what happened, which is not true, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, Senator Maura, you want to clarify whether you are sure of what you are saying or withdraw?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, I'm very sure that Senator Sakaja supports the best interests of Nairobi County. And I stand with him in ensuring that we as a House, that we stand with the people of Kariobangi and we must defend them. To the extent that maybe a caricature of himself may have appeared to have been in the signing ceremony, I stand guided.
It is a very straightforward question. Are you sure that you saw him or you're not sure, so that you withdraw and we make progress? It's as simple as that.
Mr. Speaker, you were present in the signing ceremony, so I stand guided by who was actually present that time.
As far as I know, he was not there, if that is what you want me to say. So
I stand guided, Mr. Speaker.
Withdraw.
I have not asked him to be guided.
Yeah,
Whether
withdraw.
withdraw or substantiate. You don't just, this is not real market.
Yeah.
You come and say matters of fact, statements
Senator
of fact.
Mwaura, can you either substantiate or withdraw?
Mr. Speaker, may Senator Sakaja not lose his cool. He's known to be a sober debater. And to the extent that, Mr. Speaker, you have confirmed he was not there, I withdraw and support him in Kariobangi South and tell him to remain sober.